Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Insuring India, a podcast by Digit Insurance. I am your host Sabri Saran, and on this episode, we will discuss a topic that probably a lot of people should be talking about, but unfortunately aren't. Earlier this month, Chairman of the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India said something that caught our attention. While speaking at the 18th Insurance Summit, the IRDA chief said that nearly 50% of vehicles in India remain uninsured. According to Ministry of Road Transport and Highways Yearbook 2017-18 and 2018-19, there were 29.6 crore registered vehicles in India as on 31 March 2019, of which 22.13 crore are two-wheelers and 3.84 crore are cars, jeeps and taxis. If we take a look at the IIB data, the problem persists more around two-wheelers, and according to estimates, around 66% of two-wheelers and 11% of four-wheelers are uninsured. So by those estimates, it would mean that nearly 15 crore two-wheelers and nearly 40 lakh four-wheelers ply on road without any kind of insurance. The Motor Vehicle Act of 1988 makes it mandatory for all vehicles to hold a valid third-party insurance policy in order to ply on road. This means you can attract a fine or even be imprisoned up to 3 months for driving without a valid third-party insurance. But despite this, nearly half of vehicles plying on Indian roads today don't have a valid third-party insurance. And mind you, I'm not even talking about the own damage policy, which protects your vehicle from any damages due to accidents, theft, fire, natural calamities, etc. If you think about it, it's actually a very big problem that we as a country are staring at. To talk about this problem in more detail, today I have with me Kunal Jha. Kunal is the head of Motor Product and Actuarial at Digit Insurance. Thank you so much, Kunal, for joining us on this podcast.
Thanks for having me, Sabri.
So Kunal, I will dive right into this. 50% or around 15 crore vehicles are uninsured in India. That sounds like an awfully large number. Can you help us build some context on why this is worrisome?
Yeah, sure. Before I delve into it, why this is worrisome, just to refresh you some statistics. As you mentioned rightly, around of those 15 crores uninsured vehicles, bulk of the uninsured vehicles are two-wheelers.
Right.
But interestingly, the leading cause of fatalities is not two-wheelers, but goods carrying vehicles in the commercial vehicle segments, because their third-party accident frequency is around 20 times higher than that of a typical two-wheeler. So what we are saying is one uninsured two-wheeler is not as hazardous as one uninsured truck.
Right.
And this is worrisome mainly because the dependents of the victims are deprived of much needed relief due to vehicle being uninsured.
Right.
Basically in India, TP or the third party liability is unlimited, and the insurance policy ensures that the injured or the deceased get adequate financial benefit equivalent to the loss of income at a very nominal premium.
Right.
And apart from the main worrisome fact about the dependence of the victims, the insurers also stand to lose money. And just to give you some context, if we only consider the uninsured two-wheeler segment,
right,
the industry is losing around 12,000 crore rupees of premium. I have assumed 800 rupees of TP policy per two-wheeler vehicle, so around 15 crores uninsured into 800 rupees is around 12,000 crores of premium lost to the insurance companies.
Right.
And in fact, the government is also losing around 2,100 crores of revenue through the GST alone. And mind you, if I'm only talking about third-party policy which is mandated by the government, the uptake of own damage policy, which is another facet of the motor insurance product,
right,
it can be even lower. And own damage policy protects vehicle owners from bearing out-of-pocket expenses in vehicle repair or replacement due to accident or theft. And if you look at the data too, the type of risk each and every vehicle is exposed to is huge, especially from a severity perspective.
Right.
So let's look at some government data to know the reality. In 2021 alone, there were 4 lakh accidents reported across India,
Right.
and this led to around 1.55 lakhs deaths and 3.7 lakhs injuries.
Right.
Of this, around 60% of accidents happen due to overspeeding. So any third party liability due to injury or death of another person is covered by TP insurance.
Right.
Any vehicle damage due to accident is also covered by an own damage policy. Crime is also on rise. I mean, we just have to look at NCRB data. Around 2.36 lakhs of vehicle thefts were witnessed in 2021 alone. That is an increase of 22% year on year.
Right.
And theft is a peril which is a subset of your own damage policy, and it is impliedly covered in that. And if you think of fire incidents as well, which is on rise because of the growth in the EV space,
Right.
in the last 2 years we had around 550 incidents of accidental fire reported on the vehicles.
Right.
Property damages to the tune of around 5,000 crores is also reported during floods. And this also includes the damages caused to vehicles because of floods.
Right.
We all saw what happened 2 months back in Bangalore
Right,
due to
yeah.
floods. So that has again become a very common phenomenon. And what many people don't realize is, for a very small premium amount, an insurance company can provide a 360-degree protection under a comprehensive motor insurance plan.
Right. But Kunal, I feel there also seems to be lack of awareness around the kind of risks vehicles are exposed to. So just for the understanding of our listeners, can you explain what are the different types of risks that a single motor insurance policy can cover?
Sure, Sabri. So, vehicle is exposed to various first party and third party risks.
Right.
First party risks are mainly the risk that you as the insured solely may incur, like damage to your own vehicle, theft
Right.
of your own vehicle.
Right.
And third party risks are the risks that you may be exposed to due to your vehicle causing injury or death to a third party person on the road while your vehicle is plying, or damage to a third party property.
Right.
And within first party risk, insurer cover all sort of risk like accidental damage. So if your vehicle gets into an accident and there is damage to your vehicle, big or small, the insurer will pay for it. Second is vehicle theft. Vehicle theft, as I mentioned, is a rampant problem, especially in cities, as many Indians do not have their own exclusive parking space and
Right.
end up parking on roads.
True.
So vehicle theft is a total loss to the insured, and insurer in such a case will pay the insured declared value or sum assured, as we say, for the policy to the
Right.
policyholder. Then other thing, an own damage policy protects you from is any damage to vehicle due to flood, storm and natural calamities.
Right.
We have all seen pictures of tree falling on vehicles during a storm or cyclone or during floods.
Right.
Vehicles completely get damaged, which is a total loss to the insurer. All these are covered by the insurer through the own damage policy.
Right.
Under a third party cover, again to reiterate, which is a compulsory cover, if there is damage to a third party property, or it causes an injury or death to a third person by your own vehicle, any legal liability arising is also payable under the third party policy.
Right. Got it. So, Kunal, what do you think are the key reasons behind this big gap? You clearly mentioned the kind of cover the comprehensive motor insurance policy can provide. But if you look at the data, 15 crore vehicles, that's actually a huge number. According to you, why do people avoid buying insurance despite the third party cover, as you said, being compulsory in India?
Yes, Sabri. So, this is a big problem, and I think low awareness regarding insurance in general and regarding motor insurance is one of the key issues.
Right.
Another one of the important factor can be a low usage of vehicle as the vehicle gets old.
Right.
And the usage reduces. For example, used two-wheeler might be used very locally within your neighborhood,
Right.
and then people become careless about the insurance needs and they forget and don't do insurance. And the laws are also not very strictly, or I'll say consistently applied across India. So even when we say the third party insurance is compulsory, the enforcement is up to the state, and this varies from state to state.
Right.
So the fines imposed are also low in most of the cases. I think we have seen people abiding by the rule if fines are increased. For example, I think in Delhi the fine for driving without a DL is 5,000
Right.
and violating air pollution standards is 10,000.
Right.
But this is only limited to major cities.
Right.
The enforcement of rules is not strict, I'll say, in tier 3, tier 4 cities. So rules need to be stricter and consistent,
Right.
and simultaneously awareness needs to be more around the importance of motor insurance.
Right. That's actually a good point, Kunal. But as you know, the government did make long-term third-party cover mandatory around 2018, I believe. The intent was surely right, but it hasn't led to a huge uptake in motor insurance, right? So, what are some measures you think the government can take to ensure this gap can be bridged?
So as you rightly said, the government has already taken some efforts. Long-term TP cover for 3 years for private car,
Right.
and 5 years for two-wheelers, and these are for newly registered vehicles, were made mandatory since September 2018. So going forward, this will definitely solve the problem of uninsured to some extent.
Right.
So earlier vehicle age, say 2, 3, 4, 5 for two-wheeler who were not getting insured, or who were lapsing, will be compulsorily be under an active TP policy because of this new rule.
Right.
So definitely this has helped the problem partially. Similarly, traffic fine as well has been increased as per the new MV Act for 2,000 rupees for uninsured vehicles.
Right.
But one suggestion which I'll have is this should be varied by the vehicle segment.
Right.
As I mentioned prior as well, the commercial vehicles, say for example goods carrying vehicle,
Right.
third party claim frequency is around 20 times that of a typical two-wheeler,
Right.
and still they attract the same 2,000 rupees fine for not getting insured.
Correct.
So I think the fine for uninsured vehicles should be varying by the vehicle class depending upon their propensity to incur a TP claim.
Right.
And additionally, only fine, so we should move apart. Additional to the fine, I think vehicles should not be allowed to move until they produce an effective TP insurance policy. Say they shouldn't be let to go just because they have paid a fine.
Correct.
So ensuring that those vehicles have a TP policy and then be allowed can also be an additional responsibility, which if the traffic force applies, it can actually help solve the problem to a bit. Then if we come to goods carrying vehicle, I think annual fitness certificate should be made mandatory, and while in the process of checking for the fitness certificate, I think insurance checking becomes automatically mandatory, so this should also solve a bit. Then I think suppliers of goods carrying vehicle, those who supplies the load,
Right.
I think they should also be held accountable, or at least a party, so that before giving loads they should verify the insurance policy,
Right.
so that that acts as an additional check for this category of vehicles.
That's actually a good suggestion. Yeah.
For cars and commercial vehicles, we have already a FASTag system in place. We can use tech to integrate different data to check if vehicle plying on highway has an expired insurance.
Right.
Checking at tolls can also be added as an additional checkpoints to verify insurance details via Vahan. If found uninsured, they should be prompted to take insurance before next toll. If there is repeated non-compliance, one can penalize them by disabling their FASTag. This will add as a friction in easy movement of uninsured vehicles, and even if they let it be disabled, I think if they will use cash, I think it's double the rate of FASTag.
Right.
So it will act as a deterrent for the uninsured vehicles plying on highways.
Right.
Additionally, we can also think of online insurance policy verification at all fuel stations, because as we know, still India is a internal combustion motor economy, and all vehicles almost need fuel
Correct.
to ply on road. So if a vehicle is found uninsured, a cess or fine can be applied on fuel. Additionally, insurance policy issuance kiosks should be promoted at fuel stations, so that insurance policy can be easily purchased on spot.
Right.
The entire insurance buying experience in our case is fully digital, as you know. So the process can be completed within 5 minutes.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
Another thing that can be done is that uninsured vehicle causing TP accidents should be salvaged, and any proceeds from the sale should go as a compensation to the dependents of the victims.
Right.
And I know some of these suggestions may look a bit stringent, but we as a country have been seen very good results by implementing such compulsorily or mandated things.
Right.
Take for example the PAN Aadhaar linking, or in fact the whole implementation of FASTag and seamless adoption of it. Insurance as a product that protects not just you but also any third party, and is definitely a need-based product. So it should be promoted as such by everyone.
Right. Those are actually some good suggestions, Kunal. I'll just have one last question. Do you think this whole vehicles, almost 15 crore vehicles being uninsured, it is also an awareness problem? So, as in my question is, what more can insurance companies do to drive this awareness? And how can the entire ecosystem work together to increase motor insurance penetration in India?
Yeah, definitely it's an awareness problem as well.
Right.
And insurance companies should target marketing efforts to drive awareness, especially in high uninsured vehicle cross geography segments.
Right.
Because as you know, the uninsured is not uniform across India and across vehicle segments.
Right.
So, in fact, selective targeting can definitely reduce this problem efficiently.
Right.
And in fact, regulator is also taking many efforts to drive insurance awareness at many places.
True, yeah.
So insurers should not allow policy to be issued without contactability verification, which can be easily enabled via OTP verification.
Right.
Accurate contactability will help in effective renewal chasing, and effort should not stop unless vehicle is found insured.
Right.
And a lot of effort can also go on in integrating online policy issuance facility at various agencies.
Right.
Like NHAI Toll Plaza, for example, where the vehicles are running, fuel stations,
Right.
traffic police challan app, etc.
Right.
Wherever there is an interaction of the vehicle with the road and various agencies to ply smoothly, I think if insurance companies can integrate policy issuance,
Right.
this can definitely help in reducing the uninsured population.
Right.
And overall, as an industry, I think everyone needs to work together to drive awareness, especially in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities where this problem is more amplified.
Right.
We should work with different stakeholders like government, the regulator, state police, etc. to drive awareness around this. Around 15 crore vehicles not having a motor insurance is a huge problem that we as a country are staring at. And I hope through a big campaign like we saw Mutual Fund Sahi Hai from AMFI,
Right.
one can make this as a talking point amongst everyone. And we see motor insurance penetration improving in the country going forward.
Right. Some very good suggestions, Kunal. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us on the Insuring India podcast.
Likewise, thanks for having me, Sabri.
Thanks. We hope you all enjoyed this conversation, and we hope this conversation catches up and more people talk about the importance of motor insurance. That's all on this episode, folks. Do subscribe to us to keep getting notified whenever we drop something new. Thank you and see you next time.